Welcome to Master the Art of Surrender. I have been so excited all day for this workshop because I actually recently polled the community asking them a mini course. What do you guys want for a mini course? And I had all of these amazing topics of, how to make six figures and how to scale your business and how to rewire your brain. And then I put in surrender and everybody wanted to talk about surrender. So I spent a lot of time putting this presentation together and I hope this resonates with you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on Instagram, send me a note, put some comments in here, send me an email. I love knowing how these exercises impact your life and what really resonates with you. So stick with me. And this will be, if you're watching the recording, welcome. And if you're watching live, this will be recorded. So excited to have you here. Thanks for taking time out of your day. But mastering the art of surrender. I am super, super passionate about this topic because I read the book, which I will mention again in this workshop, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And this probably would have been 7 years ago. And after reading that book and truly leaning into the art of surrender, my life has dramatically changed and I have been able to create so much more peace and abundance and love by doing less and yet still achieving more, because it's living in a state that we're not necessarily taught in the world. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today and really hope that you see these benefits as well. And I know some people in the room right now, I've worked with one-on-one and have already started practicing this. And mastering the art of surrender truly is a practice. We were talking earlier about the ebbs and flows of surrender, which is totally true. And they just continue to evolve and expand. And myself as well on my surrender journey, I've gone into this new wave of understanding and implementation of surrender in my life. So yay, welcome. Okay, so who is this for? This workshop is perfect for you. If you are tired of the hustle and grind that we are fed and we prescribe to in our world, and you are truly ready for success without the stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and if you're really ready to release your expectations, really lean into the uncertainty of life, which can be uncomfortable, so that you can truly create a life that you have never imagined. So what you're going to expect from surrender, and I know some of you are already practicing surrender, so please put in the comments what you've seen from implementing surrender. But I know when implementing surrender in my life, I have seen rapid manifestations in my dreams and desires. I've been able to show up as the best version of myself. I have avoided some of the common mistakes, but made a lot of them as well, of people trying to practice surrender. So I'm going to show you all the common mistakes tonight so you don't make those. And I've really been able to get out of my own way. And what does that mean? I will share more about that. But we create this life of what we think our life should be. And we really start getting in our own way of manifesting and creating a life that is far greater than we could have ever imagined, because our current goals and dreams are based on what we can imagine. And so our imagination often will limit us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today, because leaning into the unknown, leaning into the uncertainty takes courage, strength, and tools and exercises so that you do not sabotage your growth and your peace in those moments of surrender. So you'll also be able to tap into clarity, so that when you practice surrender, you will know your next best step. You will know things will start to become choiceless, and you will know what direction to take yourself one step at a time. So practicing surrender, and you're going to hear it in my voice and in everything I talk about today, is also practicing a slower way of life. And it doesn't mean you have to move slow in the sense that we understand. It's not that you have to do things slower, or you're going at turtle pace and it takes you forever to get things done. It means you're more intentional. It means you take one step at a time. You run before you walk, or you walk before you run. Mess that one up. And you have that steady pace. I truly believe, and one of my mentors always tells me, stillness is your acceleration point to greatness. So remember that you moving slower, creating more space in your life will allow you to gain that clarity so that you can propel your success moving forward. And we'll go into how you can make that happen. And we're also going to talk about how to shift some of your current patterns and thoughts that are keeping you stuck and keeping you in the cycle, making it hard for you to surrender. Does this resonate with everyone? Hands up if you're here live. And if not, just nod your head at me if you're watching the recording. Okay, so, oh man, well, there we go. I had some people making comments here, Q&A. Let me just quickly check that and make sure everyone is okay. Okay, so there we go. Our agenda today, I'm gonna go over some common terms that we're gonna need to be on the same page about when practicing surrender. These terms will also serve as a guidebook for you to practice and exercise surrender in your life. I'm going to go through the common mistakes I made and most people make when trying to practice surrender. And I'm going to show you how to practice surrender in every area of your life. So we're going to talk about self and daily routines, your relationships, your business, and your future. And then I'm going to make sure I give you specific tools and techniques to prevent you from sabotaging your surrender process. Okay, everyone there? So about me, if you do not know about me, my name is Vanessa Ortali. Hello, I am a life and business coach and speaker. I work with athletes, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and companies to really help them reach peak performance and success, but most importantly, through peace, love, ease, freedom, and surrender. And most importantly, alignment. But I believe all of those things contribute to your alignment. So if that resonates with you, welcome, stick around. And I truly, truly believe that by you standing in your light, and I truly believe surrender helps you to do that, you can create a life far greater than you could have ever imagined. But staying in your light can be hard in today's world where everyone is telling us who we need to be, how we need to do it. And then we have all the busyness and craziness of life. And so I truly hope that these tools, and specifically speaking to surrender, will help you to stay in your light, find your inner peace, and create more success than you could have ever imagined, because I truly believe it's possible. And I'm also living proof of this. So a little bit of my story. Growing up, I truly felt like I never fit in. I tied all of my self-worth to my accomplishments and what I did in the world. And this is actually still a default of my nervous system that it goes back to, that I need to always be calming myself and really reminding myself I am okay, I am safe, I am enough. But I was really stuck on the hamster wheel for a long time and was exhausted, overwhelmed, confused, poor, did not know my way out, and I thought I was doing everything I needed to do. I was reading all the self-help books, I was doing the do, but I was caught in this action and hustle and grind and did not know another way, which caused me a lot of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So I was controlled by my to-do list of what I thought I needed to do to be successful. But we are human beings, not human doings. But it took me a long time to figure that one out. And I really just didn't know what I was missing. So what I did do was find the right support to really help me see where I wasn't connecting the dots. So what I knew versus who I was being and who I was showing up as. And when I started to truly embody and become the person that I knew I was in my brain, that's when everything started to turn around for me. And surrender was a big part of that. I call that time in my life my mental Olympics, because I hit rock bottom. I didn't know how I was going to pay for food, and I was doing everything I needed to do to be successful, yet I was still super stressed and overwhelmed. And so I committed to my mental Olympics. I spent hours a day in meditation and journaling to really rewire my brain and figure out how I was not consistent with who I was versus what I knew. And this is something I'm really passionate about, because if any of us, Google is right there. If we just implemented half of the things we knew, our lives would be dramatically different this year. So even going into this, it is so important that you write down what sticks with you, what you're going to take away from this workshop. So it's not just another workshop and another webinar that you've watched. start implementing what you know, commit to a couple of things. You don't have to do them all, but start embodying who you want to be. And I truly, truly have seen your world around you will start to change, because your world, if you've seen any of my other webinars, your external environment and your world is a reflection of your internal. So if you're feeling like everything is super crazy and you don't know what's going on in your life, your relationships are falling apart, maybe your financial situation, those are all flags, reflections of what is going on internally. So use them as messages and as signs to turn inward. And surrendering is going to help you to do that as well. So I already mentioned this, but if you are a fan of surrender, make sure you go out and grab this book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. His other book, The Untethered Soul, is remarkable as well, but I needed to make sure to give him a shout out because he was so instrumental in my growth and evolution of surrender. So let's get really clear. For people that are here live, I want you to quickly put in the chat box, and the same thing if you're watching this recording, I need you to really think about, what is surrender? What does surrender mean to you? Let's create a quick definition of what surrender means to you. Because if this is a lifestyle that you want to play around with, sounds kind of kinky, I don't know. If this is a lifestyle that you want to practice and you want to play around with, you want to know what it is. What are you stepping into? So again, put in the chat box if you're here live. If not, just write it down. What is surrender? So we have a couple things coming in the chat. Letting go and trusting. Yes, so great. Thank you, Pamela. Giving up on the shoulds and expectations and learning to live in the moment. Yes, Jen, 100%. Ashley says, giving up, but in the best way, more like giving up the things in your life that are out of reach or out of your control. Yes. Well done, Ashley. Yes. Nadia says, letting go of expectations, 100%. And these are all 100% part of it. So here I created, this is actually the definition of surrender. So I think surrender is so hard for people to wrap their head around because in the real world, in our human world, we talk about surrender as a cease resistance to an enemy or opponent, yielding to the power and control of somebody else, giving up completely. It's like the red flag in a war. And it is not, this is not what we're talking about when we dedicate and commit to a life of surrender. Instead, what we're talking about is so many of the things that you have mentioned in the comments. So I created my own little definition of surrender. Releasing the resistance within myself. Oh, that's spelling error, whatever. Release resistance within myself and against the universe. I take back my power and acknowledge that I do not always have to be in motion. I see the fear within that is trying to control and manipulate my external environment to make me feel safe, worthy, and enough. I let go of control, lean into my faith, and take it one step at a time. So this is my commitment in my surrender experiment. So I want to go through a couple words now that I want to get on the same page, but this is also going to serve as your guidebook. So we're living a life of surrender. So that is releasing resistance within yourself and the universe, taking back your control, acknowledging that you do not have to be in motion and action all the time, seeing the fear within you, trying to control and manipulate your external environment, making you feel the illusion of safety, worthiness, and enough, letting go control and leaning into your faith, taking it one step at a time. So ease, we talk about ease all the time, right? Let's live an easy life. And so often people think ease is about putting no effort in, things just happening out of the blue. Some people may also think of it as lazy, and that's why it doesn't resonate. And they're just going to go with the flow, be a passenger in their life. And the reason I want to go through these words is I truly believe that communication and the words that we choose are so important. And often when we feel resistance or something doesn't resonate with us, we're not on the same page and we're using the same language for different things and or talking about the same thing in using different words. So these words are super, super important because I believe they're almost our Bible and our guidebook to living a life of surrender. Instead, I believe that living with ease is about inspiration, things being choiceless. What does choiceless mean? Does that resonate with you? When something is choiceless, it means you've already made the decision before it needs to be made. No choice needs to be made because it's the obvious next step. You don't have to make big decisions. You just keep taking it one small step at a time. It's also being completely present. And like I just said, taking it one step at a time. And you can take pictures of these because these are all elements that we embody throughout the surrender journey. Releasing expectations. I believe Jen said that in the comments. So often people think releasing expectations means that people are going to walk all over you, that you settle for less than you deserve. You let people do whatever the heck they want, and you don't speak your truth and express your needs. And so then you suffer in silence. And so when we truly release our expectations, we let go of how you think people should and shouldn't be. You let go of how you think things should happen. You let go of the attachment to how, what, and when things will occur. And all of these are going to tie together when I talk about specific routines that you can do daily to make sure that you're executing these words. Surrender is all of these large spiritual concepts that are aloof, like they seem not specific. So we're trying to make these specific so that you can actually execute this and live without expectations. Same with the uncertainty. We always talk about leaning into the unknown, leaning into the uncertainty. What does that mean? So many times people think, oh, I'm leaning into the uncertainty. I'm leaning into the unknown, but I have to figure it all out. And by leaning into the uncertainty, I'm giving up my knowledge, I'm giving up my power. So when we live in surrender, leaning into uncertainty truly means recognizing that your perceived control is being implemented out of fear. You are trying to control your external environment out of fear that you don't have it all figured out, that you aren't enough, and that you're not worthy. You try to create, manifest, purchase things to make your internal world feel safe when it's all an illusion. We get comfortable in the unknown because it can be very uncomfortable, and learn to live in the present moment. And if you are currently practicing surrender, you know how uncomfortable this feeling can be. When you lean into the uncertainty, you also start to understand that we try to control out of fear of things that we do not understand. We fear things we can't control. We fear things we do not understand. So whenever we have fear, whenever we have that discomfort, this is a nudge to dive deeper into what is actually triggering the discomfort. And this so often links to our core wounds. And I talk about this all the time, that we are not enough, that we are not worthy. And even this entire week, I was noticing even core wounds coming up in me of doing things out of fear. And surrender, this concept, is so huge because in the act of surrender, we have to be so hyper aware of our fears, of our triggers, so that they stop ruling our actions and reactions in our life. Does this resonate with you? Put in the comments below if this is resonating with you and this language is resonating with you. Same with trust. So someone had mentioned trust of what is surrender. So often people correlate trust to religion, just doing nothing, continuing to be a victim in their environment. I got this, I'm just trusting, and never having an opinion or a thought. I got this, I'm trusting. When instead, trust in the practice of surrender means focused thought and paying attention to your internal dialogue. being full of trust in every single word. You cannot have trust if when you look in the mirror, you think you look disgusting. If you can't have trust if you fear not getting that job in the future. Pay attention to your fears and your triggers. They are speaking to you and holding you back from actually executing a life of surrender. So over the next week, I want you in the evening to write down, what are your fears? What are your triggers? What came up for you in that day? And ask yourself, how is this a reflection of my fears, my core fears, that I might not be enough, that I might not be worthy, that I'm not lovable, that I'm not good enough, that I've done something wrong? And being able to trust allows us to truly connect to that part within us that improves our relationship with self and, most importantly, others. It helps us to have a deeper understanding of the world and a realization that we take life a little too serious. So here are the common mistakes I see when people start to implement those things we talked about: releasing expectations, leaning into the uncertainty, trusting. They truly just take a back seat in their life. I remember being at an airport with a friend, and we were traveling together, and we were both practicing surrender at the same time, and she was inspired by my surrender experience. And I'd asked her a question like, what did you want for lunch? Or I forget what I had even asked her, like, where do you want to go, or what should we do? And she went, I don't know, I'm practicing surrender. I'm like, okay, so am I just supposed to make the decision for you? What's going on here? And it's super great for you to start paying attention to signs. But surrender is supposed to turn you inward, to connect deeper with yourself, not disconnect you from yourself and just follow what everybody else is saying or doing. Surrender is a true inward experience where you reflect on your emotions, your thoughts, and your triggers to see how your thoughts and your habits are keeping you stuck in your current life. So you don't let people make decisions for you. You don't freak out in the discomfort and give into the doubt. So I see people when experiencing and wanting to practice surrender, that they start surrendering and then they are surrendering within their work or in their relationships. They try one thing, they try these exercises for 7 days. And then after 7 days, they go, this isn't working. I'm a failure. I can't surrender, or I need to do. They fall into the doing trap because maybe they don't see results fast enough. Come on, people. 7 days is not enough for you to see results. It's not enough to grow your hair, to grow your nails, to grow a plant. Surrender is like planting seeds and allowing the roots to get so deep so that when they sprout, everything is just so perfectly in alignment, magically happening. So we can't uncover. When we plant a seed, we can't keep looking. Did the roots come? Did the roots come? It's planting the seed, having that trust, releasing expectation of when that seed will sprout, what is going to sprout, how it's going to sprout. And trust that what sprouts will be so much greater than we could have ever imagined. It's about when we surrender, this is the observe versus tune in. Don't use surrender as an excuse to give up on your life and to be the passenger. You are still the driver. Surrender is an active experience, not a passive experience. It's an active experience of your thoughts, habits, emotions, and triggers, which now I hope this starts to resonate. I'm going to say the same things many times for you to take away from today. It's a call inward. It's not about over planning your goals, manifesting and maintaining control. So often, and if you see my newsletters, my last newsletter was about this. So often goal setting, manifesting is about control. What you want to happen, what you think should happen. And if you've read the book, The Surrender Experience, experiment, sorry, the surrender experiment, he talks about how he released his opinions about everything, of what he thought things needed to look like or be. And he ended up creating a multi-million-dollar business, flying on private jets in a world that he never thought he would be in, because he just kept following the next best step. And so often when we try to plan so far in advance, no one would have predicted COVID, right? It's just moving slower, making decisions that are more in the present and not so much in the future. The same thing goes with your intuition. Your intuition is powerful. Your intuition speaks quietly. It also speaks in small little steps. Maybe your intuition told you this is the career for you, or this is the man you should marry on your first date. However, the power comes in continuously reevaluating. Surrender is a daily practice where you tune in and follow your intuition, knowing that things can change. But if you say, oh, I'm surrendering, and when I surrendered that one day, my intuition told me this is what I should do. Energies change, things change. It is a daily coming home to know what is right for you. So we're going to go into now every area of your life and how to practice these tools of surrender. I already gave you one of really looking at your triggers and how those connect to your core wounds. But I'm going to give you some practical tools that you can implement surrender. Okay, let's talk about self. So really looking, and this is why you need to move slower, in my opinion. When you move slower, that's when you can truly recognize, what was I just thinking about? How am I feeling right now? It's in these small emotions and thoughts and reactions and habits and the daily practice of you being you. All of those things are speaking, this is what's going on inside. So a daily practice is to really release how things need to happen, what needs to happen, and when they need to happen. Again, this connects to the manifestation that I was just talking about. What we want, we often want because we believe that in the having of that thing, it will make us feel better. We also want things because we believe that other people had those things, I want those things. So often the things that we want are based on what other people have and what other people have manifested. The practice of surrender is you getting out of your own way to know that what if your dreams, goals, and desires and your life were meant to be completely different or greater than you could ever have imagined, like in the surrender experiment. So it's releasing the fact that you don't know. You don't know what's best. Now, I'm going to correct myself, but I'm going to be blunt with this statement. You don't know what's best. You don't know what your life should look like. You don't know what it's going to look like. Releasing the fact that I don't know. Tell me, guide me, show me. What you do know is how you feel and your next best step. But you can't predict what your life is going to look like. You can't predict what your career, your relationships are going to look like. So surrender is about just keeping that next best step in mind, coming into the present moment and just saying, I don't know. I did this also. I know we're going to talk about relationships in a second, but even in my relationship, when I was dating, I said, okay, world, forget it. I don't know. I don't know what I want. Show me, give me the exact person I need for me to become my best self. Same with my business. I don't know. Just keep following the next best step. This is a good idea. I'll do that. I never had in my mind a vision of the business I have, the community I have. I just kept making the next best step because I wanted to meet more cool people. And if you know, I have a huge community called the Ladies Community, and I never intended to create it. I just kept taking the next best step. I'd like to meet some more people. Cool. What's the next best step? I'm going to go online and go on some friend apps. Oh, what's the next best step? Oh, I'd like to actually meet them in person. This is a lot of work. Oh, I'd like to share more information. I'd like to. Keep making the next best step. Same now, speaking and coaching. I've always loved it. Don't get me wrong. I truly believe that it is linked to my purpose, but I resisted it for a long time. And I didn't know if this is what I wanted it to look like. I still release the expectation of this would be fun, but universe, I let you take that. I surrender to what my life could look like, to what my next step is, to where I could be. There's this fine balance between what you feel is your purpose and what you feel so called to do. I never want you to give up on that. However, it's the how and when it will happen. So just keep following the next best step. It's about manifesting through alignment and joy. What the heck does that mean? That means forget about manifesting. Forget about manifesting the house and the car and the job and the relationship. Find your joy. Find your alignment. Every day, be the light, be the joy, and know and trust that everything is going to come your way. Thoroughly ask yourself, hands up, what does surrender look like in this moment? What does surrender look like in this experience? And really paying attention to your thoughts, opinions, and judgments that you have of yourself and others. Try in a day. So now this is your second official. The next slide is all of the routines, but I gave you one exercise already of writing down your triggers. Your second exercise is paying attention, even for a day, of how often you have an opinion of what is right or wrong or what should and shouldn't be happening. These are so often linked to our fears, like I've been saying multiple times throughout this workshop. Your source, and I call it your source, your highest self, your inner being, I don't care what you call it. I'm going to call it source right now, but your source, the truth of who you are, does not care. Just lives in this high light and vibration and lets everything come to it. It is beautiful. So your daily routines. So that's the second. So the first, what was the first exercise? You guys following? I repeat myself to make sure that you get something out of this workshop. Your first exercise is pay attention to your triggers for a week. Your second exercise is pay attention to how many times you have an opinion or a judgment in a day. Your morning routine, I highly recommend, this is something I love, ask yourself these 3 questions when you get up in the morning. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel today? How do you want to live? How do you want to show up? This is starting to connect who you are and how you show up in this world, not what you know. Start being the light and the joy and the peace and the freedom I know that you are. Ask yourself, your body, what do I need today? What do I want? Surrender is a journey inward. So start building that relationship with self. And 3, what would bring me joy today? If you're going to live in joy and if you're going to live in light in order to live in surrender and to manifest the world of life of your dreams, you got to find that joy. So sometimes when life is busy and crazy, we forget about ourselves. We forget about what we're bringing to the world. Surrender is about you bringing your best, your best vibration, your best light to the world every day, so everything will match you. Because in that, you have so much faith and so much trust that, hey, if like attracts like, I'm going to raise my vibration as high as possible so everything will meet me there or leave. One thing at a time. Here's a really fun exercise to do. So often, if you're anything like me, my brain goes into my to-do list. What do I need to do today? What do I have to do? What do I have to do to be successful? What am I doing today, this week, this month? And it's exhausting and causes a lot of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So try this little exercise if that resonates with you. I write down on my to-do list, I'm going to mix these 2 bullets. In my to-do list, I have a monthly, like this would be nice to do this month. I have a week. This is what would be nice to do this week. And then the night before, I write what is my must do tomorrow. And normally, honestly, there's not many must do's. Maybe you have to send an email. Maybe you have to respond to somebody. But other than that, it's creating that space that allows you to follow the inspiration of your next step. So that connects to this one thing at a time. Instead of looking at your to-do list and planning your whole day, you already have your list. You already have your to-do list written out. I want you to take it one step at a time. When you hear your brain going, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? And you haven't even gotten out of bed yet, just tell yourself, oh, thank you. Thank you so much for keeping me safe. Thank you so much for helping me and wanting to be the most productive self. Let's just do one thing at a time. What do I have to do right now? Usually the answer is go to the washroom. Great. Go to the washroom and then decide what to do. After you're done in the washroom, okay, what next? What do I have to do? Well, I have to get dressed. Okay, get dressed. And then you notice how quickly your mind is already going to the next thing. Oh, well, I have to make breakfast. I have to bring the kids to school. I da. One thing at a time. Okay? And feel yourself through that process in the morning, in the day. It will take some presence. What do I have to do right now? And sometimes that answer is just breathe instead of always looking so far ahead. This next point, the surrender and vacation walk, will also help you to do that. So if you're having trouble in your day, just create a walk, a scenario where you're going for a walk. On that walk, I don't want you to plan where you're going to go. You're going to go to the corner store. You're going to go see a friend. No plans. You're just going to say, I'm going for a walk. You put on your clothes, especially now in winter. You put on your outfit, you go outside, and your brain's thinking, where am I going to go? Am I going to go to the corner? Am I going to stop? What do I need to do right now? I put my left foot in front of my right. And I just want you to walk and just say out loud, left, right, left, right. And when your brain starts thinking, okay, where am I going to turn or what am I going to do? Say, I'll decide when I get there. Where am I going to turn when I get to the light? Get to the light and then turn. So really start pulling it all back. So you're just making one decision at a time. It's in the presence, it's in those moments that you will truly allow the surrender and you start listening to the signs and the messages that the world is giving you. If you go on a walk and you're so used to doing the same walk every day, you're not even paying attention. You're just going through the motions. How often and where in your life right now are you just going through the motions? It's the slowness. That's why I say we need to slow down. We need to take a step back. Doesn't mean that the walk takes any longer. It just means that our intention and our awareness on that walk is there. We are aware in that moment. Where am I turning? Where am I going? What does the air smell like and feel like as it goes into my body? What does the cold feel like on my nose and my hands? Where am I going from here? What do I see? What am I feeling called to do? When we have so much noise in the world going on, surrender can be very difficult because we're being pulled in a million directions. We have to slow down, tune out the noise, and hear what is best for you in that moment. Are you excited for your vacation walk? I call it either a surrender walk or a vacation walk. The reason I call it a vacation walk, I started this when I was working and I still work, but I wasn't working for myself. I was working for a company and I used to live for my vacations and they felt so good. And I just thought, well, if going on vacation feels so great, I want to replicate that feeling every day. And so I'd go on a walk and on that walk, I'd just think to myself, I'm on vacation. I'm going to replicate that feeling on vacation. And it's just really recognizing that you get to choose how you feel in every moment. Stop giving your happiness and your peace away. I always say nothing is worth you losing your inner peace over. Nothing. So come into the moment, come into your body, and start to be really present of what is actually going on. Just take a moment, take a deep breath, and pay attention to all of your senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I touch? What do I feel? And just slow down. You got this. You got this. Okay, so relationships. Quick reminder that your relationships are an internal job. Nobody is in charge of your happiness, not your children, your partner, or your family, or your friends. It's you. And your relationships are a reflection of your relationship with self. So 3 secrets to your relationships and living in surrender. See them as their best self. And again, do you hear how your brain is probably saying, well, what the heck? They're not that. And you're trying to not release expectations, which connects to the next one, right? Releasing expectations of what they need to be, how they need to show up. Well, you're going to start to get defensive of, well, what do you mean? Like, what if they're not treating me well? And what if I need this in my relationship and they're not meeting my needs? If I release expectations, then I'm going to be walked all over and I'm not happy. Do you see how the principles and the words that we're talking about start to contradict themselves? Like, you get the words when we first were talking about them, but then to apply them is a whole other thing. So how do you see your relationships as the best version of self? How do you truly release expectation? I'm going to start with release expectation. You don't care what they do because your happiness is not tied to them. You focus on yourself. And you see how all 3 of these secrets actually connect to each other. You focus on yourself, your joy, your alignment. You find that first. And when you find your joy and your alignment, that person will meet you there or leave. So in order for you to release expectations, you get to say, that's okay. I don't care what you do, because I have total trust and faith in myself and my vibration that you'll either meet me here or leave. And my ideal relationship, my ideal friend, my ideal partner, they'll meet me there. And they send me love and joy. And that's when you start seeing that person as the best version of them, not what they're given and bringing to the table. You release expectation that your happiness needs to come from them, that partner needs to come from them, that friend needs to come from them. You trust that it's all going to work out. And this is where everybody's journey is unique. Let them live their journey. Stop controlling them in their journey. The only journey you can control is yourself. So focus on your alignment, focus on your joy, and release expectation of what your relationships need to look like and how they need to unfold. Find your joy, find your alignment. Don't give up in 7 days and give into the doubt and give into the uncertainty and that discomfort of the unknown. But trust that by you seeing them as their best, their highest self, that their highest self will be ignited by watching your highest self. We lead by example. And you lifting your light and being in your light allows that other person to live in their light also. And if they choose not to, that's okay, because that's free will. So your business. Implementing surrender in your business might be one of the hardest things, which is also why I'm a business coach. So often we think that the mindset part, we got that. And then we go into our business and we put on a different hat. We have our mindset hat and our life hat and then our business hat. And then we get stuck in the do, we get stuck in the action of what we need to do and the goals and how to achieve them. So implementing surrender in our business, I found to be one of the hardest things. And so my tips for implementing surrender in your business is, again, truly to slow down, keep taking it one step at a time, finding your light and knowing that by you shining your light, it's going to attract the right people into your world. It's like marketing. Marketing is actually just you shining your light like a lighthouse and attracting the people that need you or your product or your business. Keep leaning into the choiceless decision, the next best step. If it's not choiceless, you don't have to make the decision right away. So often in business, we get wrapped into the it has to happen now. And I know my language may be different depending on if you work for somebody else or not, but hear me out. There's rarely the urgency that we think it is, and or just learning to communicate. Even today, when my assistant was talking about our ads for the week and for the month, and this ad and that ad, and one of the ads just didn't feel good, and I just didn't know if I wanted to run it. And I just sat there and I thought to myself, what does surrender feel like? Where am I being pulled to? What does my intuition feel? Is this decision choiceless? And it wasn't. So we're not running that one ad right now. Doesn't mean I'm not going to run it next month, but making the next best decision. So forget about what you think should happen. Just keep asking the next best question and making the next best decision. Realizing, if we go back to what I had said earlier when I was talking about my boyfriend, when I was dating, of, okay, universe, show me what I need. Same thing goes with business. Show me what I need. Ask. You don't know anything. Right to what I had said before. We don't know. So once we accept the fact that we just don't know, same thing in business. I don't know what my business is going to look like. Just like when I surveyed of what people wanted my next course to be, and I thought about all these amazing things, and then they came back and they said, we want a course on surrender. I said, wow, really? I would have never thought that. But the next best step was to ask and let people tell you. Same thing happened with the ladies community. I don't know what events people want. I don't know what they need. Just ask them. You don't have to know anything. And that's the beautiful part of surrender. What is your business going to look like in a year? I don't know. But XYZ would be really fun. But I'm going to keep making the next best decision and see where it takes me. So this really connects to goals and future planning, especially we're moving into the new year. This is being recorded, this workshop, in 2022, January. So people are still thinking, what is my 2022 going to look like? What's my year going to look like? And so really sitting back and reevaluating your goals and asking yourself, why do I want these things? Where are these linked to my core wounds and fears that I was talking about earlier, of me not being enough, me being worthy, me not being good enough? Who am I actually doing this for? When you surrender, you realize I don't have to do anything because you're worthy, you're enough, you're amazing, just as you are. Am I looking for that external validation from others, from the world, from money, a home, a relationship, to prove to me that I'm good? Because you are good. And this is where this connects to your confidence and who you are and how you show up in the world. Do you link your confidence to your accomplishments, how you look, how you show up, who your friends are? And surrender is such a process and such a journey because it uncovers all of our fears. Because when we choose to surrender, that's when everything comes to the surface. Okay, world, thank you, right? And so really start focusing, instead of your goals of what has to happen, focus on how you want to feel, right? If we go back to the routine of how to find joy today. And when you're living in the joy, the next decision becomes so much more obvious. And so instead of goal setting, just set intentions and really connect to how I want to feel in the world, how I want to show up in the world, what would be fun to experience, but releasing the expectation of how, when, and what. And it's cool. You kind of get to the point, and maybe you're there, where it's confusing because you almost don't want anything. And that's uncomfortable. I went through this phase where I'm like, well, that's great. Now I don't have any goals. And this is really uncomfortable living in that state. Just know that that passes, but live in that, lean into that. That's where you find your true confidence, your true faith, your true trust, and you truly build your relationship with self to know that you are worthy and you are enough regardless of what happens in the world. hold the vision, but instead of vision of, don't be so connected to your visions of what needs to happen. You need to write that book. You need to have that event. You need to create this business. You need to have that relationship. Connect to the feeling of what that feels like to have. And then release how it needs to happen, how it's going to come to you, when it's going to happen, and the form that it needs to come in, right? It's like applying for a job. If you apply for a job and you connect to the feeling of how you want to feel when you're in that job, if it happens, awesome. And if it doesn't, just trust that that job wasn't maybe what you thought it was. And it didn't connect to the feeling that you were focusing on. It's releasing expectation that that job needs to come from that. I want that specific job. I want that specific person. I want that specific thing to happen. Why? Why? Because it'll make you feel better about yourself, or that's the vision that you had in your mind. Remember, we don't know anything. The world has a way bigger plan for you than you could have ever imagined. And then the fear might come in, where I've had this, and I remember going to my mentor and thinking, but tell me, really, if I give up, like if I give up and let go and truly surrender in this new level of surrender, do you promise me that my life will be even greater than it could have ever imagined? And I didn't have faith. And in that moment, I just had to trust her. And she said, yeah. So I'm telling you, if you're living in that doubt, and you don't have faith that by letting go and surrendering that your life will be even greater than you could have ever imagined, surrender into the joy. And you'll start seeing glimpses and evidence, and you'll just be so freaking happy that it won't matter if the manifestation happens, and that's when the manifestation occurs. True manifestation has no agenda. It just lives in this beautiful state of being. So I hope this is resonating with you, but find your alignment, find your joy, and then continue to reassess what's my next step. And this really connects to the inspired action and the intuition piece that I was talking about earlier. So what we talked about today, because we are finishing up right on time, which is awesome. I have a few more slides, so stick with me, but we talked about all the terms. So really, I want to recap what we talked about. We talked about surrender, our definition of surrender coming into this, what uncertainty actually means, what trust means, what, I can't even remember all the words, but we went through all of those different words, right? Went through the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to live in a new place of surrender. And then we talked about how to implement surrender in your life through daily routines, your relationships, your business, and your goals and your future. So just to recap, and I do have 2 more things to share with you, so don't leave me yet if you are here, but our definition of surrender was to release resistance within yourself and the universe, taking back your power and acknowledging that you don't always have to be in action. You don't always have to know. You don't always have to figure it out. Seeing that the fear within you is trying to control your life and manipulate your external environment to make you feel safe, worthy, and enough. Letting go control and leaning into the faith by taking it one step at a time. So now the definition all kind of comes together based on what we've spoken about. So I know I talk about manifestation a lot, and surrender, I truly believe, goes hand in hand with manifestation in a way that I don't believe is spoken about. So I was truly inspired to create a 5-day manifestation challenge. So from January 24th to the 28th, I'm going to send you daily exercises that apply how to practice manifestation through the art of surrender, so that your manifestations aren't linked to what you don't have, lack, control, and fear. So go to launchyourpower.com/manifest and register for that to make sure that you get those daily emails. When I say daily emails, it's only during January 24th to the 28th. I won't bombard you. So you're going to get an email every day that week with a challenge, a video, and then I'm also going to do lives if you have any questions. So you can come there. So you can start to practice manifestation through the art of surrender. And so here's my info. If you need me, please reach out. Let me know how you felt about this presentation, what resonated with you, and I will have Q&A at the end so we can chat a little bit more. But email me at iamvanessao@gmail.com. You can catch me on all my social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, at iamvanessao. If you would like a one-on-one power hour or consultation for additional support to help you execute surrender or life and mindset or alignment tips, let me know, because I am super happy to support you wherever you are. Or if you just need some strategy, really trying to implement how to live in surrender while building a business, so let me know. And if you are interested in this 4-week surrender experience that people wanted, I put a question mark. I really want to know. So let me know if you want to dive deeper into this, because I know it's only an hour. I tried to cover as much as possible. But if you want a 4-week really deep dive into surrender, let me know. And I'd be so happy to go there with you if that's something that you guys want and need. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is actually my word of the year, my intention. And I think this is such a big part of surrender, is to remember to celebrate. Remember to celebrate who you are, everything that you've done, everything that you've accomplished, and everything that you've created. You are your greatest manifestation. But then also don't forget to celebrate others. Celebrate others for what they've manifested, because that they make it possible for you. Celebrate your own visions, your own desires as if they are already real. This brings us into the light, into the joy, and allows our manifestations to happen even faster. But again, not from a place of needing, should. We're still able to release the expectation because we've already found it. We've already found the feeling. So it doesn't matter how, when, or where it comes from. So we will dive deeper into this in the manifestation challenge at Launch Your Power. Let me go back. launchyourpower.com/manifest. So can't wait to be with you. Let me know. If you are watching this live, I am going to open up for some Q&A, but if you are watching the recording, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you taking the time for you and discussing this topic with me that is so near and dear to my heart, and I'm so passionate about it. So love you so much. Have a beautiful day. I'm going to press stop record.